I want to begin by thanking President Trump and his all-star cabinet and federal law enforcement who have been working around the clock in my home state of Minnesota to combat rampant fraud and remove criminal illegal aliens from our communities. The worst of the worst are coming off our streets thanks to the immigration and customs enforcement officers. This includes murderers, rapists, kidnappers, and pedophiles. Yet you wouldn't know about this because our worthless paper, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, doesn't report the truth. Law enforcement officers are repeatedly harassed, assaulted, and demonized by paid agitators and failed and corrupt politicians who care more about scoring points with the radicals in their party than enforcing the rule of law and keeping Minnesota safe. Minnesota's so-called leaders, like Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, and Mayor Jacob Frey, would rather go to war with the Trump administration than get criminal illegal aliens out of our communities and expose the fraud that's been allowed to run rampant on their watch. Once again, the Democrats have shown their true colors. Look no further than their ridiculous lawsuit yesterday.
What if the biggest story in Minnesota wasn't being reported at all? What if the truth was buried while communities paid the price? I want to begin by thanking President Trump and his all-star cabinet, along with the federal law enforcement officers who have been working around the clock in Minnesota. While politicians argue and newspapers stay silent, real action is happening. Rampant fraud is being exposed. Criminal illegal aliens are being removed from our communities. The worst of the worst are coming off our streets thanks to immigration and customs enforcement. Murderers, rapists, kidnappers, pedophiles, dangerous individuals who never should have been here in the first place. Yet you wouldn't know any of this if you relied on the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. The truth doesn't fit their narrative, so they simply don't report it. Instead, law enforcement officers are repeatedly harassed, assaulted, and demonized. Paid agitators and failed, corrupt politicians cheer it on. These leaders care more about scoring points with radicals than enforcing the rule of law or keeping Minnesota safe. So-called leaders like Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, and Mayor Jacob Frey would rather go to war with the Trump administration than remove criminal illegal aliens or expose the fraud running rampant on their watch. Once again, Democrats have shown their true colors.
Thankfully, President Trump is once again stepping up where Tim Walz and Minnesota Democrats have failed by sending in additional officers and ending temporary protected status for Somalia. The Trump administration is putting the safety and security of Minnesotans first. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner announced yesterday that under Joe Biden, the department likely paid $84 million in ineligible assistance, including assistance to over 500 dead tenants. And that was in his final year in office. Accountability is finally coming, and Minnesotans are getting the answers they deserve. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise.
Housing and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner revealed that under the Biden administration, HUD likely paid out $84 million in ineligible assistance, including aid sent to more than 500 dead tenants. That happened in just 1 year. Accountability is finally coming. The truth is finally surfacing. And Minnesotans are getting the answers they deserve. With that, it's time to turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise.